answers to questions. Now I'm getting a lot of questions on the channel, and I do believe some of the questions do merit a little bit longer answer and then the video, not just a few words, and this is one of them. So when we look at the questions, so Tiago asked about one of my video, is that he's saying that he hasn't heard the high sensitivity speaker, and how high sensitivity do we need for that scenario, to experience that scenario that I described in this video. So if you are curious about that scenario, then check out that video that I posted recently. And now I'm going to answer this question, is when do you start experiencing that? And I would say definitively above 100 dB, about 102 to dB plus. So 102, 105 dB range. That's the one when you get that that effect kicking in, when your volume control doesn't work like regular volume control. So you are not adjusting the volume with it as you would with small speakers, but the volume becomes basically a liveliness, a live control, so that if you turn the volume down, it becomes more subdued, I mean less dynamic, but still same spatiality, same scale, so the imaging doesn't collapse, the experience doesn't collapse, it's just diminishes. It's kind of like if you are listening to, for example, for a symphonic orchestra, then it's like hearing them from a more distance, but you are still hearing a real orchestra, but you are moving behind, like more to the back rows instead of staying in a front row experience. But it's still unquestionably a real experience. If you watch a movie, it still has the movie experience. You still feel that you are in a theater. It's just not as loud. But when there's an explosion, or maybe there's a drum or a violin starts up, you have that rush, you have that dynamic impact, even though you are listening maybe like 30-40 dB volume. So I will show you those speakers that I have experienced that they can produce this effect. And the first of them would be Bruce Edgar's creations, the Edgar horns. So sadly, he just passed away a few months ago. He was, I believe, probably the most brilliant speakers, designer and builder of our age. And if you had the chance to hear his, I would say, work of art, because he that's what we can say, that his quality of buildership was such that it was truly unparalleled. And he built only few speakers, and most of them were custom designed. So my audio buddy Charlie had a pair of Edgar horns that he built for them. These are not the ones. He built another one, which were just absolutely fantastic speakers. And these are his typical big Edgar horns that he is famous for. And you see, these are full horn. It's a full horn system, and horn and compression driver for every unit. And he also has a bass horn, which is the size of a healthy refrigerator. So if you would pop in your big fridge there, it would probably block out less sun than that sub does. And this is, I would say, depending on which drivers, he puts in about 102, 103 dB sensitivity. But I have to add, Tiago, that it's not just the sensitivity that counts, because many times the manufacturers put in high sensitivity value to speakers which are not effectively that sensitive, and often there are some hybrid designs where they have the mid-range and high-end, I mean the top-end high frequencies, or maybe even the mid-bass in a horn loaded configuration, but then they have the bass as a passive amplified subwoofer low efficiency system, and that doesn't work. That's the one that gives the bad rap to horn speakers, because there's such a big discontinuity between bass and between mid-range and top end that it makes for a very unbalanced experience. So the mids and the highs are like a race car, lightning fast, and the bass is really obvious that it's just chugging and it's not getting anywhere. So to truly have that high efficiency experience, you need the efficiency plus you need the volume, the cabinet size to reproduce the bass, because if the bass doesn't have that efficiency, then you are not getting that experience. So I'm showing another example. Altec speaker cabinets. These are the voice of theater cabinets, the A5, A7 as well, or any of the A series. They give you this effect. It is just phenomenal, and you can use very different drivers in it. So as you see here, that's a typical A5 configuration, 515 woofer, 288 driver, plus stock crossover. That's that N500C, that's the crossover. I would say that ditch the crossover and rebuild it, because with the stock crossover it just sounds like an outdated, not the best theater sound. But when you rebuild the crossover, you breathe fresh life into it, and people use also the 400 series woofers. And for the highs, I have heard JBLs used as compression drivers, and maybe even at the JBL high frequency compression driver as well. So there's many variations you can do, but all of them give you this effect. And then the third type of speaker I heard that can reproduce that are mine. These are the I call them voice of Lancelot speakers, and essentially these are distant cousins of the A5s, because you see here there's the 288 compression driver behind that horn and 515 woofer. Here same thing, 515 woofer and 288 compression driver, but I'm using the compression driver bare without the horn. So this big thing here, that's the horn attached to the 288, which gives you the frequencies of 500 Hertz and above. And this is an absolute must if you are in a theater and you need sound for 400 people and you need people to hear it even in the back rows. But here, look, I am about less than 10 feet away from these speakers, so I do not need a horn to throw all of that sound at me. So I can run it bare, and I can do without the horn distortion. Plus, in the crossover, there's an EQ network to adjust the 1 to 3 kilohertz range, and I can ditch that as well. So I have a way more pure sound than the horn gives you. So basically that's my response, that it's these three systems, these three speakers, the Edgar horns, the Altex, and my babies are the ones that can do this type of dynamic layering. I haven't heard anything else doing that. So thank you and stay tuned. Bye bye.